In the world of professional wrestling, not everyone can stay in the spotlight forever. Some stars once stood on top, adored by fans around the globe, only to throw it all away through poor decisions, backstage scandals, or personal problems. From inappropriate behavior and conflicts with colleagues to major controversies on social media, their reputations and opportunities vanished almost overnight. In today's video, we're looking back at the tragic stories of wrestlers who were once admired worldwide. Let's dive right in. Wrestling sphere, go! Marty Jannetty, from rising star to his own tragedy. There was a time when the Rockers, the tag team of Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, perfectly embodied the high-flying, youthful, and electrifying style of the 1980s. They thrilled audiences with daring aerial moves and brought a fresh energy to WWE. With his curly hair, bright smile, and fiery spirit, Marty Jannetty was once predicted to become one of the company's next big stars. But history took a different turn, one that would make Jannetty a painful example of someone who squandered his own potential. The turning point came on December 2, 1991, during the barbershop segment. When everyone believed the Rockers would stay together, Shawn Michaels suddenly hit his iconic sweet chin music on Jannetty, then threw him through a glass window. Commentator Bobby Heenan mockingly said, "That coward jumped through the window himself." The moment became legendary, and marked the split between two drastically different paths. Michaels rose to become the Heartbreak Kid, a true icon. Jannetty, on the other hand, began a steep, irreversible decline. Originally, WWE planned for Jannetty to face Michaels at WrestleMania 8, which would have been his big chance to shine after the betrayal. But just months before the event, in January 1992, Jannetty was arrested for cocaine possession, drug paraphernalia, and resisting arrest. The entire storyline was scrapped, and Vince McMahon's trust in him was nearly destroyed. Everyone backstage knew it. A future star had just cut his own lifeline. After being released, Marty returned to WWE in 1993 and shocked fans by defeating Shawn Michaels to win the Intercontinental Championship. The crowd erupted, and the media called it a miracle comeback. But the magic lasted only 19 days. He quickly lost the title back to Michaels in Albany, New York. From there, Jannetty faded into forgettable feuds and matches with the likes of Doink the Clown and Ludwig Borga. Every time he was given a shot, he blew it, not because of lack of talent, but because he couldn't maintain the discipline needed to survive in WWE's unforgiving environment. Vince McMahon tried multiple times to help him get back on track, but nothing worked. Arrests, unprofessional behavior, and unexplained absences ruined his reputation. In 1995, Marty was rehired once more and paired with Leif Cassidy, Al Snow, as the new Rockers, but the act failed to gain traction. His final big chance came in 2005, during a brief on-screen reunion with Shawn Michaels and a long-term contract offer. But once again, legal troubles held him back. He couldn't leave his state due to a court order and was fired by WWE yet again. Outside the ring, things weren't much better. Jannetty often drew attention for bizarre social media posts, from confusing statements to alarming confessions that left fans concerned. People couldn't tell whether he was joking or reaching out for help. His posts went viral, not out of admiration, but out of sadness and regret for what could have been. Jannetty's downfall wasn't just about drugs or alcohol. It was a long chain of bad decisions, lack of self-control, and self-destructive behavior. He had everything needed to become a major star: looks, skill, charisma, and the foundation of a successful tag team. But instead of moving forward, he let his personal demons devour his career. Today, when people talk about Marty Jannetty, they don't mention his spectacular aerial moves or big victories. They remember him as a symbol of missed opportunities, a once promising star who fell into darkness by his own hand. In contrast to Shawn Michaels, who overcame his struggles to become a legend, Jannetty stands as a cautionary tale for anyone who can't handle the spotlight. It's a sad chapter in WWE history, where a shining star was overshadowed by the darkness he created. Big Cass, the giant who threw it all away. Big Cass was once seen as a hidden gem in the eyes of Vince McMahon, who has always had a soft spot for tall, powerful wrestlers with star presence. Standing over 2 meters tall with an ideal build, Cass made WWE believe he had the potential to become a true main eventer. During his time in NXT, he and Enzo Amore formed one of the most charismatic and entertaining tag teams of their era. Their high-energy promos and crowd-working ability made them stand out immediately. Enzo brought the mic skills, Cass brought the muscle. It was the perfect formula. But WWE is known for experimenting when they spot solo potential. In 2017, Vince decided to split Enzo and Cass, choosing Cass as the future single star. He crushed Enzo in their feud, then defeated The Big Show at SummerSlam 2017, signaling a major career push. However, tragedy struck shortly after when Cass tore his ACL, sidelining him for almost 8 months. By the time he returned, fan excitement had cooled off and his momentum had all but disappeared. WWE tried to rebuild his image by pairing him in a feud with Daniel Bryan, one of the company's top stars at the time. But things didn't go as planned. Cass lost both matches, and his presence quickly faded from the spotlight. Shortly after Money in the Bank 2018, WWE unexpectedly announced his release, a shocking move, considering he had once been viewed as a golden prospect for the company's future. The main reasons were attitude and discipline issues. Cass was accused of getting heavily intoxicated during the European tour, causing backstage problems and ignoring Vince's directives. The breaking point came during a SmackDown segment where Cass was told to lightly fake attack a little person playing Daniel Bryan. Instead, he took matters into his own hands, assaulting the performer for real with a stiff big boot, infuriating management. Cass later admitted this was the worst decision of my career. After being fired, Cass struggled both personally and professionally. Though he later got chances to rebuild in TNA and AEW, he could never regain his former position. From a hand-picked future star to a cautionary tale, Cass showed that talent alone isn't enough. Attitude and discipline are what sustain a wrestler's career. Had he not sabotaged his own opportunities, Big Cass might have been a world champion in WWE today. Matt Bourne, the talented clown destroyed by his demons. The wrestling world has no shortage of gifted performers who couldn't control their own lives. Matt Bourne stands as one of the saddest examples. Known for his in-ring ability, natural acting talent, and versatility, he could have been remembered as one of the most unique performers of the 1990s. Instead, drugs and personal struggles crushed both his career and his life. Bourne first appeared in WWE in the late 1980s but failed to make an impact. After several years wrestling on the independent circuit, he returned to WWE with a drastically different gimmick, Doink the Clown. This wasn't a typical comedy character. Doink was creepy, half playful and half sinister, with a menacing grin and dark humor. The character quickly became a phenomenon, standing out during an era dominated by serious, muscle-bound personas. Fans laughed but also shuddered whenever Doink appeared, and Bourne's performance gave the gimmick real depth. But behind the makeup and bright lights, Bourne was spiraling into darkness. He fell deep into drug addiction, cocaine, marijuana, and other substances that clouded his mind. His ex-wife, Michelle James, once said she wasn't sure if he ever stepped into the ring completely sober. His substance use caused constant friction with WWE management. One of the key incidents came when Bam Bam Bigelow reported Bourne for smoking marijuana, which ultimately led to his firing. It was a true tragedy. Bourne had created a character the audience genuinely loved. While Doink was never meant to be a main event star, Bourne's performance made the clown an unforgettable part of early 90s WWE. With better decisions, he could have developed Doink into a lasting icon. After leaving WWE, Bourne continued working in independent promotions, but addiction never let go. In his later years, he made attempts at a comeback, but the damage was too deep. In 2013, Matt Bourne died of a drug overdose, closing the chapter of a man who had all the tools to succeed, but lost everything because he couldn't conquer his own demons. He remains a painful reminder that in WWE's glittering world, sometimes the greatest opponent isn't the one across the ring, it's yourself. Teddy Hart, from family pride to personal tragedy. The name Hart was once synonymous with greatness in professional wrestling. The Hart family gave the world legends like Bret, the Hitman Hart, and Owen Hart. And Teddy Hart, their nephew, was once seen as the one destined to carry that legacy forward. He possessed natural talent, a high-risk wrestling style, and a captivating in-ring presence. Many within the industry believed he was the future of WWE. But instead of becoming a symbol of greatness, Teddy ended up as a painful warning. Talent alone can't save someone with the wrong attitude. Teddy stepped into the ring at just 15 years old, quickly drawing attention from wrestling insiders. WWE signed him the moment he turned 18, making him one of the youngest wrestlers in company history. But along with talent came ego and defiance. He became infamous for his impulsive personality, frequent arguments, and refusal to follow instructions. As a result, WWE released him in 2002, despite his seemingly limitless potential. Teddy didn't give up and continued wrestling on the independent scene. He made waves in Ring of Honor in 2003 but lasted only a few months. During a steel cage match, Hart performed a series of unscripted, dangerous dives from the top of the cage, angering both his opponents and the promotion. He then joined TNA, but once again, his time ended in chaos, this time after a backstage fight with CM Punk. WWE hadn't completely given up on him. In 2005, he was brought back and assigned to FCW, the company's developmental territory at the time. But within 2 years, history repeated itself. Arrogance and lack of discipline led to another release. Every chance he was given, Teddy threw away with his own hands. His brightest period came in Major League Wrestling, MLW. When he formed the Hart Foundation with Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Brian Pillman Jr., the trio briefly rekindled the magic of the Hart legacy. But that momentum faded once again when Teddy got into more legal trouble. In the last 5 years, Teddy Hart's name has made headlines not for wrestling accomplishments but for a series of arrests, including assault, drug possession, evading police, driving under the influence, and even sexual assault allegations. One of the most shocking cases involved the mysterious disappearance of his ex-girlfriend, further darkening his reputation. Today, Teddy Hart still wrestles for small promotions in Canada, but his glory days are long gone. He could have stood alongside WWE's main event stars, even graced the stage at WrestleMania, had he been able to control himself. Instead, he's remembered as a wasted talent, undone by ego and poor choices, a tragic chapter in the story of one of wrestling's most legendary families. Alberto Del Rio, from WWE's aristocrat to the architect of his own downfall. In the early 2010s, WWE placed enormous faith in one man, Alberto Del Rio. He had everything needed to become a top star: an elegant look, solid in-ring skills, charismatic mic work, and a unique Mexican aristocrat persona. Many believed he would be the perfect successor to Rey Mysterio, a Latin star who could connect with global audiences. Vince McMahon saw him as a polished gem, a premium version of Rey Mysterio. Taller, better looking, and perfectly aligned with WWE's evolving style. Del Rio's rise was meteoric. He won the 2011 Royal Rumble, captured the Money in the Bank briefcase, and became a world champion in less than 2 years after his debut. WWE pushed him heavily as their next main event player. But there was one problem: the fans never truly embraced him. His arrogant, cold, aristocratic persona kept audiences at a distance. Vince might have favored him, but he lacked the most crucial element: genuine crowd connection. As fan support dwindled, cracks began to appear backstage. Del Rio was known for having a big ego, a short temper, and being difficult to control. He frequently argued and even got into physical altercations with other wrestlers. On several occasions, he walked out of shows without warning, frustrating management. Vince tried to protect him for a while, but repeated incidents eventually made that impossible. Just a few years after being hailed as WWE's Golden Star, Del Rio found himself on the outside looking in. But the real downfall happened outside the ring. His chaotic relationship with Paige became the center of multiple scandals. The couple publicly accused each other of violence, betrayal, and erratic behavior, shocking fans who once admired them. Paige managed to move on from the turmoil. Del Rio did not. His image was severely damaged. After leaving WWE, he tried to rebuild his career in Lucha Underground and Impact Wrestling. At first, things seemed promising, but his old habits resurfaced. He skipped shows, clashed with management, and was ultimately fired from Impact after failing to appear at a major event. The door to major promotions effectively slammed shut. Then, in 2020, his career and reputation hit rock bottom. Del Rio was accused of kidnapping and sexual assault, sending shockwaves through the wrestling world. Though he was later acquitted, his reputation was beyond repair. No major company wanted to be associated with him anymore. From being called the heir to WWE's throne, Del Rio was reduced to performing for small promotions in Mexico, desperately clinging to the remnants of his once bright career. His story is a brutal reminder. No amount of talent or opportunity can save someone who destroys themselves. He once held fame, fortune, and glory in his hands, but in the end, all that remained were the shattered pieces of an unfulfilled dream. Velveteen Dream. From NXT's brightest star to his own worst nightmare. Patrick Clark, better known as Velveteen Dream, was once considered one of the brightest prospects to ever emerge from NXT, WWE's developmental territory. The moment he stepped onto the stage with a persona inspired by music icon Prince, fans were immediately drawn in by his boldness, vibrant colors, and unique presence unlike anything seen before. Dream didn't just have a striking look. He could tell stories through his movements, expressions, and ring psychology, setting himself apart from other young talents still trying to find their identity. In just a few short years, Velveteen Dream proved he was far more than a flashy gimmick. He delivered outstanding performances against top NXT stars like Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano, and Ricochet. Every time Dream appeared, fans knew they were in for something special. With his in-ring ability, charismatic mic skills, and distinctive character, Patrick Clark was expected to become WWE's next breakout star. At just 25, his future looked brighter than ever. But everything came crashing down in an instant. In April 2020, serious allegations surfaced online accusing Velveteen Dream of sending inappropriate images to minors. Clark denied the accusations, and Triple H stated that WWE investigated and found no evidence of wrongdoing. However, the damage to his reputation was already severe. One accuser even claimed they were never contacted during the investigation, raising doubts about its transparency. Although he wasn't immediately released, Dream's return to NXT was met with cold, even hostile reactions from the audience. Backstage, his peers reportedly didn't want to work with him anymore. The tension dragged on until May 2021, when WWE officially terminated Patrick Clark's contract, bringing an abrupt end to one of the most promising careers of the decade. After his release, Clark refused to take responsibility. Instead, he blamed the fans, claiming they destroyed his career. He posted angry videos and statements accusing the audience and media of killing the Velveteen Dream persona. However, numerous backstage reports suggested that his unprofessional behavior, arrogance, and conflicts with top names at NXT were the real breaking point that forced WWE's hand. Today, Patrick Clark has all but vanished from the wrestling spotlight. A WWE return is virtually impossible, especially after his public attacks on the company and its fanbase. Velveteen Dream was once a symbol of creativity and individuality in NXT, but his ego and personal mistakes turned that purple dream into a nightmare of his own making. Austin Aries. From wrestling genius to a self-inflicted downfall. When people talk about Austin Aries, they remember a wrestler who was exceptionally talented, intelligent, and charismatic. Born in 1978, Aries began his career in 2000 and quickly gained recognition for his agile, technical, and high-energy style. He wasn't just a brilliant performer. His promo skills could command any crowd's attention, making him a rare blend of in-ring excellence and mic mastery. He rose to prominence in Ring of Honor, ROH, and Dragon Gate, where fans dubbed him a Champion's Champion. But it was TNA, Impact Wrestling, that made Austin Aries a global name. His reign as X-Division champion is often remembered as one of the division's golden eras, reminiscent of Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and Christopher Daniels. Aries didn't just dominate the division. He broke through barriers by defeating Bobby Roode to become TNA World Heavyweight Champion, proving that size doesn't define greatness when talent is undeniable. Yet even immense skill couldn't save him from himself. Signs of trouble emerged early. During a live TNA broadcast, ring announcer Christy Hem mistakenly introduced him and Bobby Roode in the wrong order. Aries reacted aggressively, getting in her face and forcing her to correct the mistake. After she apologized, he shockingly positioned his crotch near her face, an incident that stunned the audience and severely tarnished his professional image. Despite the controversy, Aries signed with WWE in 2016. Though under 6 feet tall, he quickly impressed in NXT and later joined the main roster. His match against Neville, Pac, at WrestleMania 33 received critical praise. But just a year later, Aries was released. Reports suggested that he was difficult to work with and had rubbed many colleagues the wrong way, the same pattern that had followed him elsewhere. Returning to Impact Wrestling in 2018, Aries immediately reclaimed the TNA World Championship, signaling a potential career resurgence. However, at Bound for Glory that same year, everything unraveled. After losing the main event to Johnny Impact, John Morrison, Aries abruptly stood up and walked out, refusing to sell the defeat, a huge sign of disrespect in the wrestling world. The act ruined the planned finish, infuriating both the locker room and the audience. Aries later claimed it was part of a storyline, but his sudden disappearance afterward made few believe him. This was the final straw that ended his run in major promotions. When the hashtag Speaking Out movement emerged, his name surfaced again amid serious misconduct allegations involving women. Although he denied them, his public image was already beyond repair. Today, Austin Aries occasionally appears for independent promotions and had a brief stint in Major League Wrestling, MLW, but his glory days are long gone. Once celebrated as proof that talent and determination could overcome physical limitations, Aries has become a cautionary tale. His arrogance, ego, and lack of control ultimately destroyed the empire he built, a bitter tragedy for someone once known as the greatest man that ever lived. Jack Gallagher, from a distinguished gentleman to an irredeemable fall. Jack Gallagher was one of the most intriguing new faces WWE introduced in 2016. With a refined wrestling style that blended traditional British technique and playful charm, Gallagher stood out as a gentleman in the chaotic world of pro wrestling. His breakout performance in the Cruiserweight Classic turned him from a complete unknown into a sensation, leading WWE to sign him shortly afterward. He became a regular on 205 Live and NXT. Gallagher wasn't just technically skilled, he had personality. With his 1930s style mustache, witty banter, and innovative offense, he captivated audiences. The combination of skill and character made him one of WWE's brightest hopes in the Cruiserweight division. But that promising path collapsed overnight, and it was Gallagher himself who set it ablaze. On June 19, 2020, amid the widespread speaking out movement in the wrestling industry, a Twitter user named PlantMommy300 shared a shocking story. She accused Jack Gallagher of sexually assaulting her at a New Year's Eve party in 2014. According to her account, Gallagher pressured her to drink heavily and forcibly touched her despite her resistance. The story spread rapidly online, and within 24 hours, WWE suspended and then terminated his contract. What stood out was Gallagher's response, or lack thereof. In a later interview with Wrestling Incorporated, he essentially admitted to the incident, saying, "I acted inappropriately at the party in 2014. I don't remember everything clearly because I'd been drinking heavily, but that's no excuse. I'm sorry for the harm I caused." It wasn't a defense, it was a confession. From that moment on, the career of the extraordinary gentleman was finished. Gallagher hasn't stepped into a wrestling ring since June 15, 2020. He withdrew from the industry almost entirely, turning his focus to mixed martial arts, a field he had trained in previously. Still, the public found it difficult to separate the once charming gentleman from the scandal that destroyed his reputation. Once admired for his elegance and uniqueness, Jack Gallagher became a pariah in the eyes of fans. And like many fallen stars before him, the bitter truth is that he wasn't defeated by any opponent in the ring, but by his own actions and choices. Brian Kendrick, from the next Shawn Michaels to a wasted golden opportunity. There was a time when many in the industry believed Brian Kendrick would become the next Shawn Michaels, a smaller, charismatic star with world-class talent and undeniable presence. Born to perform, Kendrick had a rare gift for storytelling inside the ring, paired with spectacular aerial ability that kept fans on the edge of their seats. Yet instead of reaching legendary heights, he sabotaged his own rise through a habit he refused to break. After splitting from London and Kendrick, WWE rebranded him as the Brian Kendrick, a smug, cold-hearted character backed by bodyguard Ezekiel Jackson. This persona made an immediate impact. Kendrick started stacking up significant wins, climbing the card, and even participated in WWE's first-ever championship scramble match. Though his reign as temporary WWE champion lasted only minutes, it showed management's belief that Kendrick could be the next big star. But behind the confident facade was a well-known issue: Kendrick's marijuana use. Despite repeated warnings, he continued to violate WWE's wellness policy. At a time when the company was determined to clean up its image following numerous drug scandals, Kendrick's defiance was essentially him signing his own release papers. The 2008 Championship Scramble became both his peak and his final shot at the world title. Afterward, he was demoted to enhancement talent, the role of putting others over. 1 year later, WWE officially released him after he refused to stop using marijuana. 7 years later, Kendrick returned to WWE as a more seasoned performer. Competing on 205 Live, he helped shape the show's identity and mentor younger talent. But the glory days never came back. The chance to become a legendary figure, the next Shawn Michaels, had slipped away due to his own decisions. Brian Kendrick had it all: talent, charisma, and opportunity. But he lost everything, not because of a rival in the ring, but because he failed to overcome himself. Tessa Blanchard, from rising star to forgotten name. No one can deny that Tessa Blanchard was once among the most talented female wrestlers in the world. She had everything needed to become a top star: a prestigious lineage, exceptional in-ring ability, and unshakable confidence. As the daughter of wrestling legend Tully Blanchard, Tessa entered the business carrying massive expectations, and for a time, she made everyone believe she could redefine women's wrestling. Tessa began her career on the independent circuit before joining NXT in 2016, making her debut against Alexa Bliss. Although she was brought in to put others over, her commanding presence and aggressive style quickly caught fans' attention. Many expected her to shine in the inaugural Mae Young Classic, but she was eliminated in the first round by Kairi Sane. Afterward, WWE opted not to offer her a long-term contract, and rumors began circulating about her arrogance and difficult behavior backstage. Unwilling to give up, Tessa moved to Impact Wrestling, where she rose through the ranks at lightning speed. She not only dominated the Knockouts division but also competed against male wrestlers, a rare feat in modern wrestling. Her biggest triumph came when she defeated Sami Callihan to become the first female Impact World Champion, a historic moment that seemed to signal the dawn of a new era for her career. But only a few months later, everything came crashing down. While at the height of her popularity, Tessa posted a seemingly harmless tweet encouraging female wrestlers to support each other. Instead of unity, her words triggered a massive backlash. Several female wrestlers came forward, accusing her of bullying and even racial discrimination, most notably against La Rosa Negra. Though Tessa denied the allegations, her public image was shattered. Tensions with Impact Wrestling only made things worse. She refused to participate in Slammiversary or send in promotional videos despite being the reigning champion. Ultimately, Impact stripped her of the title and terminated her contract, the lowest point of her career. From that moment, both WWE and AEW avoided signing her, no matter how talented she was. Surprisingly, at the end of 2024, Impact gave Tessa another chance. While her reputation hasn't fully recovered, it may mark the beginning of a redemption arc. Because despite her downfall, Tessa Blanchard remains proof that talent alone means nothing if you can't control yourself. Marty Scurll, the villain, and the biggest fall of a promising career. Marty Scurll was once considered one of the brightest prospects of his generation, a performer who could easily have become a top star in AEW or even WWE. With sharp in-ring psychology, strong storytelling, and a distinctive persona, he made a name for himself on the independent scene. But his rise to glory ended abruptly when he became the architect of his own downfall. Before adopting his villain persona, Scurll was just another wrestler lacking a unique identity. But everything changed when he turned heel in Progress Wrestling. His cold expression, aristocratic demeanor, and cunning style made him stand out from the crowd. Upon joining Bullet Club, he quickly became one of its most popular members, sharing the spotlight with major stars like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. Fans were convinced that Scurll was destined for the biggest stage in the industry. In 2020, he even received an offer from AEW but shockingly turned it down to stay with Ring of Honor, where he not only wrestled but also worked on the creative team. It was a clear sign of his influence and status within the company at the time. But all of that collapsed overnight. During the wrestling world's speaking out movement, Scurll was accused of taking advantage of a 16-year-old girl who was intoxicated. He admitted the encounter happened but claimed it was consensual. His statement only fueled public outrage rather than clearing his name. Ring of Honor immediately terminated his contract. The villain's reputation disintegrated. 4 years afterward, no major promotion, AEW, TNA, or WWE, was willing to take the risk of signing him. He was relegated to small-time shows, far removed from the bright lights he once commanded. From one of the most promising stars of his era, Marty Scurll became a cautionary tale, proof that a single mistake can reduce an entire career to ashes. Jimmy Havoc, the rebel who buried his own career. Jimmy Havoc was once one of the biggest names in the British wrestling scene. He wasn't a traditional wrestler. His style was violent, chaotic, and drenched in blood. In deathmatches, he was willing to sacrifice his body to deliver unforgettable moments. When AEW was founded, Havoc was seen as a unique presence, a weapon that could help set the company apart from WWE. But all of that became a distant memory once the speaking out movement hit. In 2020, Havoc's ex-girlfriend, Rebecca Crow, publicly accused him of physical and emotional abuse throughout their 3-year relationship. Shortly after, another woman came forward with allegations of inappropriate behavior. As the accusations spread, the wrestling community erupted in outrage, and Havoc's reputation crumbled overnight. AEW president Tony Khan immediately suspended him, announcing that Havoc would enter treatment for mental health and substance abuse issues. But the damage to the company's image was already done. By August 2020, AEW officially released Jimmy Havoc, ending a short but controversial chapter in his career. The truth is, even before the scandal, Havoc's chances of becoming a major AEW star were slim. His deathmatch style appealed to a niche audience but was far too extreme for mainstream viewers. AEW tried to build around his cold-blooded rebel persona, but eventually had to accept that he didn't fit the company's direction. His final match took place on June 11, 2020, against the Young Bucks, the last time fans ever saw him on AEW programming. After his release, Havoc vanished from the wrestling world, never returning to any promotion. From a symbol of extreme wrestling to a cautionary tale, Jimmy Havoc destroyed his own future, proving that no amount of talent can save someone once their honor is gone. Michael Elgin, from rising star to self-destruction. There was a time when Michael Elgin was considered one of the best wrestlers of his generation. With his powerful build, incredible strength, and impressive technical ability, he quickly made a name for himself on the independent scene, especially after becoming Ring of Honor (ROH) World Champion. During that period, Elgin was praised as the embodiment of hard work and dedication, a man who could become an international star. His move to New Japan Pro Wrestling elevated his status even further, and many believed he was on track to become one of wrestling's next global names. But his career unraveled in a short span of time. In 2017, Elgin became embroiled in a serious scandal when he was accused of covering up a sexual assault that occurred within his own promotion, Glory Pro Wrestling. A female trainee known as Malone claimed she was assaulted by another wrestler. Rather than taking the matter seriously, Elgin was accused of ignoring the incident for months and even trying to discredit the victim to protect his company's image. The case sparked public outrage. While Elgin lost some opportunities, he continued wrestling. But when the speaking out movement swept through the industry in 2020, new allegations surfaced. Several women accused him of inappropriate behavior, including sending unsolicited explicit photos. Leaked private videos made the situation even worse. At that time, Impact Wrestling was heavily pushing Elgin, even planning for him to compete for the world title in a 5-man match at Slammiversary. However, under immense public pressure, the company removed him from the event and suspended him indefinitely. Soon after, Impact officially released Michael Elgin, shutting the door on his career in a major promotion. Since then, Elgin has only appeared in small independent shows, with no real fanbase left and his reputation in ruins. From a world champion poised for international stardom to a disgraced figure, Michael Elgin stands as a clear example of how a single series of bad choices can wipe out an entire career. Chyna, from WWE feminist icon to a tragic self-destruction. In WWE history, few names shine as brightly as Chyna, the woman once hailed as the ninth wonder of the world. She wasn't just an exceptionally powerful wrestler, she was a trailblazer who completely redefined how audiences viewed women's roles in a male-dominated industry. Joining WWE in the late 1990s, Chyna made an immediate impact as a member of the legendary D-Generation X. With her muscular physique and icy demeanor, she didn't limit herself to facing female competitors. She stepped into the ring with some of WWE's biggest men and beat them. She became the first woman to capture the Intercontinental Championship and to enter the Royal Rumble match against male wrestlers, achievements that earned her global respect. But behind the spotlight, darkness loomed. At the height of her career, her relationship with Triple H, her boyfriend at the time, began to crumble. When Triple H started dating Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon's daughter, Chyna's standing within WWE quickly weakened. She was gradually phased out of major storylines, feeling betrayed and isolated in the very company she had helped elevate. She later demanded a salary equal to WWE's top male stars but was turned down. When negotiations fell apart, Chyna left the company in 2001, ending a spectacular yet bittersweet chapter of her career. From that point on, her life took a different path, one that would never return to its former glory. Outside the ring, she tried to keep the spotlight by appearing on reality TV, posing for Playboy, and pursuing Hollywood opportunities. But the attention gradually faded, until she shocked fans by entering the adult film industry. Though it brought her back into the public eye, it shattered her image for many fans, and WWE cut all ties. In the years that followed, Chyna battled addiction, depression, and loneliness. She often expressed a desire to reconcile with WWE, to return and be recognized, but that door remained closed. Her life became increasingly unstable. She moved to Japan in search of peace she had never truly found. In 2016, Chyna was found dead at age 46 from an accidental overdose. Her passing shook the wrestling world, not just because a legend was gone, but because it served as a sobering reminder of the heavy price of fame. 3 years later, WWE finally honored her contributions by inducting her into the Hall of Fame in 2019 as part of D-Generation X. Though she wasn't inducted individually, it was still a long overdue acknowledgement of the woman who broke every barrier. From a powerful feminist icon to a heartbreaking cautionary tale, Chyna's story shows how the spotlight that once lifts someone up can also be the flame that consumes them. Sunny, a shining star who destroyed everything. In the 1990s, no woman had more presence or influence in WWE than Sunny. When she debuted in 1995, she quickly became a sensation thanks to her striking beauty, sharp wit, and natural charisma in front of the camera. She didn't need to wrestle to electrify audiences. Her mere presence lit up the arena. As a manager, she helped teams like the Body Donnas and the Smoking Guns reach the spotlight, redefining what a female character in wrestling could be: glamorous, powerful, and central to the show. By 1996, Sunny's fame had exploded beyond wrestling. She was named the most downloaded woman on the internet, even surpassing Pamela Anderson, proof of her unprecedented popularity. Television programs, magazines, and entertainment events all wanted a piece of her. She wasn't just a valet, she was WWE's first mainstream female star, paving the way for future icons like Trish Stratus and Tori Wilson. But as the lights shone brightest, cracks began to appear in her personal life. A love triangle involving her longtime boyfriend Chris Candido and Shawn Michaels became a scandal that rocked WWE Backstage. The messy situation hurt Candido deeply and made Sunny the subject of constant rumors. Once beloved, she slowly became a polarizing figure. As the drama intensified, Sunny turned to alcohol and drugs. She frequently showed up late, caused disruptions, and clashed with colleagues like Sable, testing WWE management's patience. In 1998, the company officially released her, closing the curtain on one of its most popular female personalities. After leaving WWE, Sunny tried to keep her fame alive by joining ECW and later WCW, but she couldn't recapture her past success. As her star faded, she lost her sense of direction. The sudden death of Chris Candido in 2005 devastated her, sending her into a downward spiral. She faced multiple arrests related to violence, restraining order violations, and worsening substance abuse. In 2011, WWE unexpectedly inducted her into the Hall of Fame, seemingly giving her a chance at redemption. But that glimmer of hope faded quickly. Just a year later, she was arrested 6 times in 4 months. Despite WWE offering rehab, she refused, continuing her destructive path. In 2016, she shocked fans by entering the adult film industry, completely shattering the image of Sunny as a female trailblazer. Her tragedy peaked in 2022 when she caused a fatal DUI car crash, leading to a 17-year prison sentence in November 2023. From a pioneering WWE icon to a convicted felon, Sunny's story is a harsh reminder of how fame and talent can collapse in the face of personal recklessness. She once opened the door for an entire generation of female performers, only to set fire to her own legacy. These stories serve as valuable lessons about career paths and personal choices. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any upcoming videos from Wrestling Sphere.